We're good.
All right, YouTube is up. We can proceed. I'd like to call this January 24th meeting of the City Council of Charleston to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Gregg, Councilmember Shealy,
Here.
Councilmember Saccharin, Councilmember Mitchell, Councilmember Brady,
Present.
Councilmember Gregory,
Here.
Councilmember Waring, Councilmember Seekings, Councilmember Shade, Councilmember Bowden, Councilmember Appel, Councilmember Parker, Mayor Tecklenburg.
Here. Now, if you'd like to join us, Council Member Saccharin will lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
My mic to work? Can you hear me? Thank you. God of compassion and justice, help us in the age of great division and polarization to learn the art of civil discourse and compassionate listening with those who worship you through other religions, particularly our Jewish, Muslim, and Hindi brothers and sisters. And the same compassion should be extended to our brothers and sisters who do not subscribe to any religious doctrine or ideology. God of compassion and justice, guide us and recognize your image even in the faces of those who do not remind us of ourselves, looking past our differences to find our common interests and goals, that we may work together to bring healing to a broken world. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you all for being with us tonight. I think most of you have been with us before, but just in case, and this is very unlikely that we would have to evacuate the building, but if that were to occur, don't use the elevator. There are the two doors out of this main room and one door out of the room to my right, the two stairs leading downstairs, and then just the one stairway heading out the front door. That would be our route out of here in that unlikely event, but just want everybody to be aware. And I have the honor tonight of giving our state of the city address right at 6 o'clock. So to give the folks time to set up for that, we're going to take a break at 5:45. We're going to proceed along with as much business as we can accomplish before then, but we will be breaking at 5:45 for a little 15-minute break and then the State of the Union. Good news for everyone. They only allow me 12 minutes, so it's not going to last that long. Okay. So next up is our public hearings, and Mr. Morgan, would you please come forward? And we'll start with, of course, number one, which is a matter involving 1320 Folly Road, a rezoning from limited business to general business. Y'all want to see if you can get the screen going up here? And but Mr. Morgan, please proceed to describe it.
Yes, sir. So this one, you all have the maps in your package. So this is a piece of property that is somewhat surrounded by the town of James Island off of Folly Road. And it has a automotive related repair business on the site. And it's been zone limited business for many years, but that actually doesn't allow for the type of automotive repair that's occurring on the site. And the owner is interested in coming into compliance with what our codes require. And so we have, he has brought forward a rezoning request that was received by the Planning Commission. I think we're gonna be live here with the maps in just a second so we can zip through those. But it is a fairly simple request. We've also consulted with the town of James Island where another part of this business is. Here we go. So there is the property. It's off of Folly Road. It's south of Fort Johnson. It backs up to other residential areas. There is another part of the business right here that is in the town of James Island. All these areas are in the town of James Island, but this is in the city of Charleston. So show you some.
What type of repair does he do there?
It's automotive repair.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So there you see some of the cars that are on the site. You see the building that has the white roof that's in the town of James Island that has a structure that is indoor repair work too. In our plan, it's in our neighborhood edge. So the GB is a little bit more intensive, but we're trying to fix this situation for a pre-existing business. So That is why we're recommending for it. Just a difference in LB and GB in the overlay. However, those really won't come into apply here unless this business one day leaves. As long as this business stays here, they're going to be in conformance. Here's some images of it from Folly Road. And then this is the building, I believe, that's in the town on the side there. So it's a long established business in this location and it's gotten bigger.
Go back to the
Yes, sir.
picture of the actual, that's the parcel that's in the city.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So we're
sir.
doing
That has the
nothing but
cars on it because when you go back to the aerial, I believe we've got, yeah, you can see that driveway apron right there coming off of Folly Road.
Okay, just curious, is there anything but parking going on it?
I'm not sure, but they may be planning to do other activities there, and that's part of the reason for the general business on that site.
Okay,
And the planning commission did review and recommended the approval of the rezoning request.
all right. Would anyone like to be heard on this matter? Please come forward. Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
My name is Joseph Phipps.
Mr. Mayor, did you want to set a time limit? A time limit? Okay, it's a minute and a half, sir.
Joseph Phipps,
Yes, sir.
born and raised in Charleston. Grew up working right here at the shop since 1972. My father started a business. And we're growing just like everybody else is growing. And we just need more room to work. Right now, we're currently just parking cars on the lot. No work being done on the premises. We just need more room. That's about all I got to say. I mean, everybody in the community gets along with us. We take care of everybody. And we plan on being there a long time.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to be heard on this matter?
And Mr. Mayor, we had a sign up sheet. I think Mr. Bryant, he signed up to speak. Is he here?
He-
Or
He's good on this
Okay.
matter.
Mr. Idris?
Okay.
I think that was it.
All right. Hearing no one else, it comes to council. We have a motion to approve in a second. Councilmember Gregory.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This is in my district and it's an upzoning. It's an upzoning. And it's not far from Walmart in that area, all those businesses up in there.
Correct. It's down the street about a quarter to half mile. Yes, sir.
Right, of which most of those are already zoned GB.
Yes, sir.
So this would not be inconsistent with most of what's going on there.
Correct.
While they may not necessarily be a city,
Right.
this would be consistent with.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
All right. Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Morgan, can you go back to the slide LB and GB? The descript, like LB.
Oh, I'm
where-
sorry. I'm sorry. Here we go.
And the Rethink Folly Road, the overlay.
Well, this includes the overlays restrictions. For example, the density is the same in limited business in the overlay as it is in general business.
Okay, what about the neighborhoods?
The neighborhoods,
The zones? Do you know what? zone
okay,
this is
so in the city, in our version of the overlay, the predominance is with what the base zoning is. So we look at, it was currently zoned LB, limited business, when the Folly Road overlay came into play. And this would take it to general business under the Folly Road overlay. And those are the restrictions that you would have under general business in the Folly Road overlay. It's a little bit more permissive. It does allow 24 hours a day uses, things like that. But the overall density, should the use go away and somebody want to develop residentially, is the same as with limited business.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Councilmember Shade.
This is just a very general question for you, Mr. Morgan, and because you do such a wonderful job with all of these presentations, and I think we council appreciate your thoroughness on this. Is there a reason why, and the clerk's going to kill me for asking this question, is there a reason why we don't get all of this other attachments in our agenda package? Because this helps.
Oh, some of the slides that,
Yeah,
these
these slides help us out a good bit. And, what-
yeah,
I
these,
mean, I know our package is so big that we sometimes have to go to the electronic website to get the agenda on ways and needs in particular. But having this kind of information in those other slides really do make a difference for us.
And these are essentially the same slides we showed the planning commission, but I mean, if the clerk wanted, we could provide these if you all wanted them. in the
Even if they were
packages.
just digital, even if
Yeah.
we just got them on the digital part of it for review. Not to add any more work to the clerk or any more paperwork.
We can, I mean, we can include that if y'all would like that in future agendas.
It helps. It really does help. That's a good thing.
It'll all be paperless soon, we hope.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. All right. Any other questions or comments for first reading? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Phipps. Good luck to you in your business. All right. So number 2.
This is an amendment to a planned unit development that you all saw in the last year or so. As time has passed since it was approved, the existing business that's on the site realized that there were some constraints in the PUD that did not really reflect the way they operate on the site. It's the site, the business that's there is the Tattooed Moose on Johns Island. So these amendments are to deal with that situation. This is on Maybank Highway on Johns Island. It's just to the west of Southwick. It's a development that would have townhouses as well as the existing Tattooed Moose. I'll show you some slides that give you a refresher on the PUD. And of course, oops, I have no fall out there. This is in our comp plan as neighborhood edge. And so it is in line, the PUD itself is in line with the neighborhood edge of the comprehensive plan. This is just what the neighborhood edge allows for, 6 to 20 units an acre. This is an aerial image of the site, and it does include the Tattooed Moose that is there towards the bottom, towards Maybank Highway, and then undeveloped land around it. View from the street on Maybank. And this is the PUD document. Oops, okay. I was going to show just a couple of the changes here that dealt with the amount of area for the commercial use has slightly expanded. The amount of area for the parking for the commercial use is slightly expanded, and the amount of area for the residential has dropped a little bit, but the number of units is the same. And then we will go to the images of the layout of the development. And this should all be in your packages as well. Everything that's of course in red of the changes, and that is the overall area. And here you see that there has been a change. This area has been added to the business area, and it's going to be used for parking. And they have outdoor use area that is basically in this zone here, and that parking will help provide for that as well. But everything else about the PUD will remain the same. Image. There you go. There's the buffers along Maybank Highway, the green spaces that will be provided in the development. This will be a series of townhouses. It will back up to a marsh area. There will be connectivity between parcels and roads that will allow for future connectivity to the north and to the south in line with all our Johns Island plans. And that is, those are just some road cross sections, and that's just the overall final PUD plan. And the planning commission did review this and recommended for its approval. And it was a 6-0 vote. And now it comes to council.
All right. Would anyone like to be heard on this matter? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
In the interest of time, and the mayor's had his address, I'm going to make this a overall blanket and concern I have. Under the Growth and Economic Development under the South Carolina Plan Enabling Act, I support an ad hoc committee agenda item by Councilman Parker in terms of lobbyists and nonprofits due to council members not knowing the rates between Charleston and Berkeley County tax rates, coupled with the mayor raising $200,000 above his salary, as well as the candidates totally raising over $500,000. The ad hoc committee should look at the changing the form of government because many can't afford to raise $100,000 for a campaign. Secondly, the Freedom Caucus in Columbia, which has made a really serious statements in terms of raising money in the Ethics Commission, the Ethics Accountability Campaign Reform Act, it's not being enforced by SLED. And therefore, a lot of people are basically in the criminal rule side that are poor, that are 600,000 people in South Carolina that are at risk to be unhoused, 13,000 critically unhoused, 1 million unhoused Americans in this country right now, unhoused. So they can't afford to pay the mayor to raise any money for his campaign and nobody else.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone like to be heard on the PUD of Reds Cove? Okay, hearing none, it comes to Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, this is not my district, so, but this is another PUD on Johns Island. You know, the traffic, the infrastructure, I don't know how you feel about it, Councilmember Brady. I would just love to hear from you because I don't hear from Johns Island constituents. I mean, I hear from friends and things like that. I mean, James Island and Johns Island are closely connected, but certainly the uptick in homes and people adding to the already tight roads and things. I'd just love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, where this one is located, as Christopher mentioned, where Tattooed Moose is on Maybank, it's already kind of in a commercial node. So it's not like that it's out of character with what's going on. And also to have the PUDs in relation to other commercial developments there, it actually creates some synergy in that area that wouldn't require folks to always have to drive to do things. So it puts businesses near residences, which is there's a couple other PUDs on Johns Island that are going near neighborhoods as well. And it's been a really nice lifestyle accommodation, as in Maybank Village is near Estuary Beans and Barley and Charleston Distilling Company. And then the new Low Tide is going to go in near that vicinity as well. So there's a lot of kind of commercial nodes going in there that I don't think necessarily adds substantially to the traffic. It actually reduces it because you're putting where people want to live, work, and play in closer proximity to each other. However, I do agree with you, which will be later on the agenda, where there are other kind of upzonings that have been requested that I think are kind of out of character with the area. So,
All right, Councilmember Parker.
One more question. I'm sorry. Councilman Boykin had have you spoken with him about this? I'm just curious because he had a great plan for that sort of Maybank. Does this line up with that sort of proposal that he had?
I haven't spoken with him about it, but if you're referencing the Maybank overlay zone, the city and the county have been working together on that so that the city comes into alignment with the commercial nodes as well that are at Main and Maybank, kind of the center of Maybank, and then also at Maybank and River as well.
Thank you.
Councilmember Shade.
To Councilmember Brady's point, and we heard this several meetings ago regarding residents on Johns Island, calling for more commercial development on Johns Island, to the point of if you've got a pharmacy, if you've got a grocery store, you've got a restaurant, you got a hardware store, and the list goes on, that enables them to not have to travel into another part of the county or the city to do their business there. So if we can add more commercial activity, and I can't remember what our particular zoning request was several years ago, but if we can develop this into more commercial needs for the residents out there, there's a food desert out there. There's a grocery store desert out there. There's a restaurant desert out there. So more of this type of activity helps the folks over on Johns Island.
All right, any further comment? Hearing none for first reading, all in favor, please say.
Mr. Mayor, we need a motion. We need a motion.
Oh, we
So
didn't have a
moved.
motion on the floor. We got a motion to approve in a second. Any further comment or question? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 3.
This is,
Councilmember Mitchell, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Okay. It's coming.
okay. This number 3 is a ordinance amendment that will help us further encourage affordable housing in the city. It's already been in place in the ordinance. This just expands the size of lots that can take advantage of it. It basically lets, with existing lots, our denser zoning categories have affordable housing built on these lots and regulated by virtue of the number of bedrooms that are on the lot or in the building that would be built on the lot or used on the lot, as opposed to the number of residential units. So it gives some more flexibility for affordable housing, and this expands on it further. It was actually brought to our attention by a existing structure that's on Upper King Street that is going to be converted to affordable housing. And this particular development can take advantage of that. It's a entirely privately funded affordable housing development. And they just needed a little bit of expansion, and we thought this was a very good thing to do for this category to allow for more of the regulation by bedrooms on these existing denser lots that could have affordable housing on them. So this will help create more affordable housing in the community. The Planning Commission did review this and recommended approval, and it comes to you all now.
All right, would anyone like to be heard on this matter? Mr. Dix, I see you moving around. Welcome.
Thank you. Josh Dix, 640 Rutledge Avenue. I'm the Government Affairs Director for the Realtors Association. I want to say thank you for taking this up. We need to really think outside the box on how we're going to approach density and get more affordable product into the city. But we can't do it alone. The zoning work that's coming up is going to be really important to where we can identify these blind spots in the zoning code and add more opportunities for affordable housing in our portfolio of product that we have. We also need to take a look at the development timelines and how long it's taking to get a project into a CO. We will never be able to produce an affordable product unless we address some of these issues. That doesn't cost money. It doesn't take any additional time. We just need to look and think how we're doing these things and try to develop an approach going forward. So thanks.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to be heard on this? Hearing none,
Move second.
comes to council. We got a motion to approve. Councilmember Shade.
This is just sort of a question, Mr. Morgan, under subparagraph C, when you talk about the total number of bedrooms from 12 to 22, how is that number developed? I mean, what is that a industry standard of some sort, or?
It was based on the lower levels and smaller lot sizes of the previous ordinance of the maximum lot of being a 6,100 square foot lot at 12 bedrooms, and then carrying that up to 22. We took it out to 10,780 as far as a minimum lot size.
Okay. I got most of that in my head, but we can have a test on this later on. Thanks.
All right, any other questions? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Here it comes.
Number 4.
Move numbers 4 through 12, take together for public hearing.
Councilmember Mitchell. You can second it. A second by Councilmember Mitchell. All right, so these are all residential properties, I believe, that are just been annexed into the city and getting their residential zoning, correct?
Yes, sir.
So I'm just going to call out their names for the record's sake. 372 Linwood Drive, 521 St. Andrews Boulevard, 1401 Riverfront Drive, 1603 Pinecrest Road, 1731 East Avalon Circle, 1754 Jervy Avenue, 2056 Piper Drive, 2161 Wapu Hall Road, and 2190 St. James Drive. Would anyone like to be heard on any of those properties? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward.
Before I speak, I'm speaking on 2161 Wapu Hall Road. And my understanding is that the owner wants to subdivide, and I want to verify that's true before I speak out. Is that true?
Okay.
What zoning they're asking for, or variances on building?
This is not necessarily a question and answer period, but I will ask Mr. Morgan if he happens to know that.
Because it kind of depends on what I'm saying.
So this one, the zoning that's recommended for it is SR1. It was R4 in Charleston County. So those are fairly comparable zonings. And looking at the configuration there, I don't see a scenario where they would be able to subdivide it, because we don't really allow flag lots. And given that it looks like the existing structure takes up most of the width of the lot, I don't think this is one that was not my understanding, that they were annexing this for subdivision. And you see how the size of the surrounding lots are fairly comparable. They would have to have a 9,000 square foot lot to subdivide, and I don't know if you would be able to achieve that and still have the setbacks you have to have for the house there.
Okay, that was really, because there's no need for me to say what I have to say if the lot's not going to be subdivided.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Would anyone else like to be heard on any of those addresses that I called out? Okay, hearing none, the matter comes to council. We have a motion to approve. Any discussion or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next, we have the approval of our city council minutes.
Move for approval.
on
Second.
December 20th. Any corrections, deletions, additions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Now, we are at 5:42. If we started citizens participation, we would literally just have like one or two folks. So, if it's okay with y'all, we'll just go ahead and break so we can set up for the state of the city address.
How many
Is that-
people are signed up for citizens participation?
How many folks are signed up?
We have 7 in person, and then we did have a few online.
Okay,
Take the couple that are online.
We can
and then
take-
Come back.
We're,
or we might have one of the 7 who is like dying to leave. You're welcome to come up and present yourself.
is the time limit,
I see a volunteer. Come on up. Give us your name and address.
Mr. Mayor, is the time limit still a minute and a half?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Please state your name and address.
My name is Kate Dosberg. I live in Wagner Terrace. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm here because the last city council meeting that I attended, we talked about the bump outs for the 4 intersections on the Upper Peninsula. And I understand that it's been approved and we're figuring out funding. But the idea was floated that we just use crossing guards as an option. And I would like to say that that cannot work because in 2016, I spent the entire year trying to find a crossing guard for the intersection of Grove and King. What I found out was that the sheriff's office has considered that intersection too dangerous for a crossing guard, which is why when there is one available, they post her at the mid-block intersection between Grove and Francis. Essentially, that's why I believe that the answer lies in safer intersections and not in crossing guards, which are basically a dangerous volunteer position and very hard to find. There were 3 crossing guards at those 4 intersections in 2016. Now there's 1, and I think you will not be able to find replacement crossing guards. Thank you very much.
We did inquire when this topic came up at our last meeting, and I come to find out that the crossing guard program currently run by the sheriff's department will be turned over to the school district starting next school year. And so at that point, starting next school year, Charleston County School District will be the point of contact and responsible for recruiting crossing guards and managing the program for what that's worth. All right.
Anthony Del Porto.
Hello, Anthony Del Porto, 447 UG Street. I'm here to speak in support of the pedestrian safety on the Upper Peninsula proposal that was presented here by Traffic and Transportation Committee at the last city council meeting, the same general topic as what we just heard on. As a brief reminder, this is a request for bulb outs or curb extensions at the intersection of Rutledge and Moultrie, Rutledge and Simmons, King and Moultrie, King and Grove Streets. These are key road crossings where children cross twice a day as they and their parents go to and from the schools of James Simmons, Sundrops Montessori, and Charleston Charter School for Math and Science. These bulb outs will be key safety devices for the children going to and from school, and they are included in the 2018 City Transportation Plan that Council approved. So I'd like to thank the mayor, city council, particularly Councilmember Saccharin, who I've worked with on this, Traffic and Transportation Committee, and city staff, particularly Robbie Somerville, for their work so far. So my main ask here today is that you continue to prioritize finding funding for these projects from county council and other sources. These are good plans, and they are certainly being asked for by the citizens, as evidenced by the fact that I put together a petition that gathered over 149 signatures, or sorry, exactly 149 signatures. But the funding will be the big lift. So please prioritize funding for these crucial safety improvements so our children can arrive at school and back home to us safely each night.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir. All right, it's now 5:46, so we're going to go ahead and adjourn for a little bit. Let's reconvene right about 5:58. So we'll just have a couple of minutes just prior to starting. And thank you all. We'll be back